Hello, my favorite people! Welcome to this new. If you ever wondered whether you should buy a pattern or create a pattern, this video is for you, and you're definitely not alone in this struggle, because we all want to create our own patterns and make beautiful designs. The ideas that we have in mind, we want to express them, wear them, anything. But sometimes it's just more convenient to buy a pattern. And in this day and age where there are so many cool designers, that's not a bad thing at all. In this video, I walk you through both concepts and what are the pros and cons for both of them, so you can make a proper decision whether you are going to buy a pattern or dive more into making your own patterns. I want to tell a little bit about how I started pattern making and sewing. So I started sewing 10 years ago, and I started pattern making I think 8 years ago. When I started sewing, I was in sewing classes once a week, and I could choose designs, pre-made designs, and then make them for myself. Every time I had to choose a design, I had something else in my head that was a little bit different, so I always wanted to make adjustments to the patterns that I could choose from, and that's when the urge became bigger and bigger and bigger to create my own patterns, as well as I was a very ambitious girl that really wanted to dive more into creating my own pieces and being able to have more self-expression through things that I was wearing and making. The problem never had been the patterns itself, because the designs were good, they fitted right, but it was more the understanding of, okay, when I know how to create my own patterns, I also know how to sew them together, and I also have to understand which fabrics to use and all that kind of things. But I will tell you a lot more about that in this video, so let's get into that. First, I want to say that if you're interested in sewing and creating your own patterns and just want to be surrounded by other creative girls like you and me, then you can join my free community below. So click the link in the description and you can join my community for free. I will be sharing way more tips and tricks on pattern making in there, as well as we just encourage and inspire each other to create our dream clothes together. So first, let's talk about buying pre-made patterns. Pro of buying a pre-made pattern is that you can start immediately. You don't have to bother about designing, making decisions. It's made for you, it's ready to be used. You print it, put it on the fabric, and you can start right away. And especially if you like the designer, if you like the vision, if you like the style of the pattern, then it's a win and a win, because you can download it, print it, and then start right away. A con of that is that the designer probably based it on their preferences and their sizes, which means it's not exactly made for your body. But that are most clothes in store as well. So being able to sew, you can already make adjustments and choose which fabric you make it from. That's a very big pro of sewing in general instead of buying your clothes. But for a pre-made pattern that still is with sizing, it can be hard. They really do their best with a lot of testing and all of that. So patterns that are made nowadays are just very good, and people are making a very big effort to create cool patterns that are, good for a lot of types of bodies. So a big pro is the speed. You can start immediately. Then another big pro of working with pre-made patterns is that it a lot of times comes with instructions and videos which explain to you how to sew it together. And when you're beginning with sewing, you probably don't understand what a pattern is, how to adjust everything together, how to work with nice finishings and things like that. And making a pattern following instructions and videos gives you so much of ideas of how to work with patterns. It gives you a better understanding how to assemble different kind of pieces together, and you might learn new techniques about finishing. Every time I buy a pattern now and I see the instructions, I learn something new about a finishing, which I think is pretty cool, and I still love that. And another pro of buying pre-made patterns is that there are a lot of cool designs out there. This is my new favorite piece I've ever sewn, and it is from a pre-made pattern. I think it's so cool, and yeah, it is a nice way to support designers that you like. If you like their vision, if you are inspired by them to sew, this is your way of saying, hey, I like what you're doing and you inspired me to make something cute. So that's also a very big pro, that we can support each other and yeah, really lift each other up in our creativity. Then there also are some cons of working with pre-made patterns. First, I mentioned a little bit is that it isn't completely made for your size, so you might have to do some adjustments to the pattern, but they are probably very minor. And then the second thing is, maybe you have an idea in your head that nobody has made, so therefore it doesn't exist in the pattern industry. And yeah, you can wait for someone to make the pattern, but yeah, you don't know when or even if someone will ever create the pattern, so you don't have the completely full creative freedom of making whatever you want. Yeah, being independent on other designers, there are a lot of cool designers. I will put a list in here, the ones that I really liked working with when I did buy a lot of patterns. I still buy a lot of patterns, but in the beginning I did it way more, and especially in magazine Fiber Mood, I like using that one. And this blouse is from Ashley Mix. It's her first one, so I'm very excited to see what she is going to create next, but I don't know what she's going to create next and if I will be liking it. Probably I will, because I like her style, but if not, then I had to wait for a new pattern to come, but maybe I don't want to make it. So it limits a little bit in what you are going to create and what you are waiting for. Then the pros and cons of creating your own patterns. The first con is that you can have completely control of what you're going to do with your design. The second con is that you can make the fit absolutely perfect for your body. So I like to work with basic blocks. You make them once, you adjust them completely to the size that fits you, and from there you can create anything that you want. That's exactly what I teach my students in my program as well. They create their own basic blocks, and then I learn them different ways on how to adjust them based on their style. But having that base means you don't have to go completely back to scratch every time, which makes it consistent in fit, as well as you just have a starting point where to create from. So a big con is that, yeah, you have all the options to create everything that you want, and you can make it fit perfectly for your body. And those are, if you are ambitious in sewing and if you are very eager to learn, because it is a skill that you have to practice more and more and more to get a better feeling for it, then it's definitely something that you will be loving for your creative freedom. And then some cons of working with your own patterns is that it is more time consuming, because you have to create your basic blocks first, and after that you have to adjust them. After that you might want to test them if you're experimenting with new techniques, as well as it is more time consuming because it needs more practice. So you will need to practice how to work with different curves and different shapes before you fully be confident enough to make the patterns that you want. But there are a lot of tips and tricks that you can use to be more confident in the decisions that you can make. And that's another big con for creating your own patterns, is that it can be very overwhelming, because you can do literally everything, which is nice, but all the decisions you have to make them yourself, and sometimes you just don't know where to start. For example, the color of this blouse is pretty wide, but how do you decide how wide you want it to be? That's a decision you have to make. You can go for 20 centimeters, you can go for 18 centimeters, you can go for 15 centimeters. All of those decisions that you have to make to be able to design whatever you want. But I really like to use different methods of using your clothes, sizes that you already like, and just getting a better feeling of how to create a pattern that you know will look cute and fit you right. That's a practice that you have to be consistent in, but to make it less overwhelming over time and get a better feeling on what choices make sense for the pattern. And the biggest tip that I can give you on pattern making is to be very, very specific with your basic blocks. And once you have that, you don't have to go from 0 to 1 every time, but you can go from 1 to 2 every time that you are making a pattern, which is super nice, because then, yeah, you have a good base that you already know that fits you very well. And if you are interested in learning how to create your own patterns, then make sure to go to the description and click the link where you can join the waitlist, because I will be opening new spots for my program in March, where I teach you how to create your basic blocks, and after that create modifications, and yeah, actually making the clothes you've been dreaming of making. And I will teach you everything about how you can make better decisions, where you can base your decisions on, as well as a lot of templates that can help you with making your designs. So now we know the pros and cons of both buying a pattern and creating a pattern. Now let's see how you can decide which one will work best. One tip that I will give up front is you don't make a decision forever. So if you choose to buy a pattern once, then you still can make a pattern the next day. But I will have to say, when you know how to make your patterns, buying a pattern is a nice thing to fall back to when you just want to speed up. You have more skills once you know how to make patterns. And if you're new to sewing, it does not have to be holding you back from creating your own patterns. You don't have to be a very good sewist to learn how to make your patterns. I will say, in my opinion, once you know how to make your own patterns and have a better understanding of how all of those things work, you will become a better sewist in that process. So that's very complementary on each other. The first thing you have to do to make the right decision is ask yourself, okay, what do I want? Do I want to make something fast because I want to take it with me on vacation and I'm going tomorrow? Or do you want to make a piece for a special occasion and want to put more time and effort into that? You can ask yourself those kind of things. Okay, how much time do I give myself for creating a piece like that? If you just want a basic t-shirt, then you might consider buying a pattern because it's just a basic t-shirt instead of making a dress for a wedding or something like that. You can ask yourself those questions to decide if you want to buy a pattern or make a pattern. And then something that I would suggest you to do if you are completely new to sewing, as I said, it doesn't have to hold you back from pattern making, but working from patterns that you bought before you are starting with working with your own patterns will give you such a good understanding of patterns in general. Plus you can follow the instructions, which is nice. And when you have a little bit of an understanding of how that works and your mind just keeps wondering about how to adjust patterns, then you can go fully into pattern making yourself. And that is what completely changed it for me. Once I started learning how to make my own patterns, yeah, it really gives you the freedom to create whatever you want, and you get such a good understanding of how it actually works and how much you can do with it. And yeah, that's just a nice thing, I think. And that being said, brings me to the point, whether you choose to buy a pattern or create your own pattern, just keep in mind why you make the decision to buy something or to create something for your own, because it can be such a cool thing to create anything for yourself, and you can make anything. And I know a lot of us have Pinterest boards full of ideas that we want to make all of that, but maybe someone made a pattern for something on your Pinterest board, and then you might consider buying it, because it's also fun to support the designers that what they made and their vision as well. So both of them are great, and make a decision based on your preferences. Now, that being said, I hope you like this video. Leave a comment what you like, if you prefer to buy patterns or to create your own. Is it a dream of you to create your own pieces? I'm also curious about that. Maybe you just want to sew because it's relaxing and as a creative outlet, but maybe a lot of people have bigger dreams for sewing as well and really want to create their own patterns. So I'm curious what your story is. Leave that in a comment, and I'm happy to connect and chat a little bit more about that in the comments. Like this video if you thought it was helpful, and make sure to subscribe for more pattern making, sewing, exciting little things that I will be doing this year as well. And don't forget to join the community. I will see you in the next video. Bye.